are providing such an opportunity for each and every teacher, while they are giving an opportunity that each and every teacher should take in-house training sessions so that the teacher will be having a confidence and having a interaction with their colleagues as well. So without wasting my time, I would like to start my session, as my session is Bloom's taxonomy and its impact. We all are here and we all have qualification of at least B.Ed. In our B.Ed session, we had a topic that is Bloom's taxonomy. So let's start the Bloom's taxonomy. First of all, I would like to say the dictionary meaning of taxonomy. The dictionary meaning, when we go through the dictionary, then taxonomy means the classification. So with the word classification here we are having the Bloom's taxonomy. It means that it is a popular educational model in the time when the students used to study in Gurukuls. It means from the ancient time, the students used to go to the Gurukuls to have their teaching, to have their to achieve the knowledge, to take education, or the recent times using digital method, that is online platform as well. So the purpose is to make students lifelong learners and inculcate good values and skill in them. The main motto of our education is not only to impart the education in our student, apart from that, to inculcate a value, to inculcate such a values that the student should respect, should give proper respect to their elders, to their teachers, and also towards their nation. So the main motto is also to inculcate such values. Bloom's taxonomy can be understood as one such attempt to revive the educational practices with the best teaching methodologies and the way of student performance and evaluation. So, understanding the taxonomy and classifications are the synonymous, helps each other. Bloom's taxonomy is a multi-tiered model of classifying thinking according to 6 cognitive domains. Throughout the years, the levels have often been depicted as a stairway, leading many teachers to encourage their students to climb to a higher level, that is level of thought. The lowest 3 levels are knowledge, comprehension and application. The highest 3 levels are analysis, synthesis and evaluation, that we are going to discuss in the next slides. The taxonomy is a hierarchical. Each level is subsumed by the higher levels. In other words, a student functioning at the application level has also mastered the material at the knowledge and comprehension level. So the Bloom's taxonomy, all we are taking the training sessions from the CEOs as well on this very topic. So we all are aware about the hierarchy of the Bloom's taxonomy. Now let's begin with understanding what's Bloom's taxonomy. So the first of all, the question arises that what is this Bloom's taxonomy? And before that, I would also like to say that why it is named as Bloom's taxonomy. So it is named because on the name of Benjamin Bloom, who has designed this very taxonomy, so that's why it is named as Bloom's taxonomy. So Bloom's taxonomy is a categorization that defines different levels of intelligence, including thinking, learning and understanding. Institutes, means education institutions, make use of Bloom's taxonomy to improve curriculum, assessments and teaching methods. Already I have discussed that originally introduced in 1956, Bloom's taxonomy was a concept created by Mr. Benjamin Bloom along with the committee of educators and devised the taxonomy, so that's why it is also named as Bloom's taxonomy. Now, the introduction to Bloom's taxonomy. What is Bloom's? Bloom's is an instructional theory that categorizes levels of learning, a tool for instructors to assist with writing, learning outcomes, curriculum planning, content delivery, as well as assessment of the learning levels. Bloom's taxonomy is foundational knowledge for every undergraduate program in education and in cognitive psychology. Though it was initially intended simply as an assessment, it has become an emblem for curriculum design used to set learning objectives and design classroom activities. Now, there are three domains of Bloom's taxonomy. When we classify Bloom's taxonomy, then we are having the three domains on which all the Bloom's taxonomy is being classified, because earlier I said when we go through the dictionary, meaning it means that is the classification. So the Bloom's taxonomy is classified basically in three domains, and that is cognitive domain, affective domain, and psychomotor domain. We will be discussing each domain in detail in the next slides. The first one is cognitive domain. Cognitive domain. In the cognitive domain of Bloom's taxonomy, the major focus is given to the development of knowledge and intellectual skills. As per the complexity, there are 6 subheads of the cognitive domain. Here we are having the Bloom's taxonomy, that is in the hierarchical form, in the pyramidal form. The number one is knowledge. Here it is. The number one is knowledge, or you can also say it as remember. Both are the synonyms of each other. Remember or knowledge, you can say both are the same. So, what is knowledge? The knowledge, gaining knowledge about facts, figures, and basic concepts. Next slide, sir. Next. Yeah. So the very first is knowledge. In Hindi, you can say it as gyan, or aware about the Hindi. That is gyan. When you use the dictionary meaning again, the knowledge means gyan. So the gaining knowledge about facts, figures, and basic concepts. This is the very first stage of the domain. That is the knowledge. Knowledge involves recognizing or remembering facts. Whenever students used to learn something, so the first stage is to remember something what the student has learned. So knowledge involves recognizing or remembering facts, terms, basic concepts, or answers without necessarily understanding what they mean. It means whenever the question is arise from the students, they used to give the answers of that very questions. So that is knowledge. In Hindi we can also say that when we do the classification means ग्रुप का अगर वर्गीकरण किया जाए तो जो पहला जो डोमेन है उसके 6 लेवल्स जो है, तो पहला लेवल है दैट इज नॉलेज ज्ञान. The second one is now its characteristics may include, it means the knowledge, the first level is knowledge and its characteristics are knowledge of specifics. Means when students learn something, he or she is having the terminology, means he or she has the specific knowledge of a particular topic, that is terminology or specific facts. Second thing that is the characteristic is knowledge of ways of and means of dealing with the specific. It means whatever the specifies knowledge the student is achieving, the way of dealing that way, it means that conventions, trends, and sequences, classification and categorization. The third one is knowledge of the universals and abstractions in a field. Means whatever the principles are there, the students can to know that, and generalizations theories and structures. It means whatever the knowledge the students is acquiring, on which principles, on which theories that very knowledge is given, the students come to know, that is remember. The second thing is, the second level is comprehension. Comprehension involves demonstrating and understanding of facts and ideas by organizing, summarizing, translating, generalizing, giving descriptions and stating the main ideas. This is what comprehension states. For example, summarize the identifying characteristics of a golden delicious apple and a Granny Smith apple. The next one is applications. The third level of the first domain is application. Applying the knowledge, whatever the students has achieved the knowledge, whatever the students get knowledge, how to apply is the third level. Applying the knowledge and the concepts is the best way possible. In the best way possible, it means whatever the knowledge the students is achieving, how to apply that knowledge in their day-to-day life or in their curriculum. Applications involves using acquired knowledge, solving problems in new situations by applying acquired knowledge, facts, techniques, and rules. Learners should be able to use prior knowledge. It means whatever the knowledge the learners are having before that very knowledge, so the learner should apply that very prior knowledge to solve problems, identify connections and relationships, and how they apply in these situations. It means as per the situations, the learner should adopt the new technique of solving the problem. Example, would apples prevent scurvy, a disease caused by deficiency in vitamin C? It means if the students is having a problem or having a doubt whether the apple, having an apple will recover us from the scurvy, so this is the application that the student should know what is the what are the benefits of having apple. So that is the application of the knowledge. The fourth level is analysis. Analyzing the application, making conclusions, and understanding relationships between the different aspects of the application. Analysis involves examining and breaking information into components part. It means into a smaller parts, determining how the parts relate to one another, identifying motives or causes, making inferences, and finding evidence to support generalization. The next one is its characteristics. The characteristics of analyzing. It analyzes the analysis of elements, analysis of the relationships, and the analysis of organization. For example, compare and contrast 4 ways of serving food made with apples and examine which one have the highest health benefits. It means when we used to cook any recipe with the same ingredients, so we have to analyze that which recipe is good for our health. That is the analysis of our knowledge. Now, the fifth one is the evaluation. Evaluation, it means the judgment. Evaluation means judgment. So, judging and defending conclusions about the information generated from the application. Evaluation involves presenting and defending opinions by making judgments about information, the validity of ideas, or quality of work based on a set of criteria. Now, its characteristics. What are the characteristics of evaluation? Judgment in terms of internal evidence, judgment in terms of external criteria. Examples. For example, which kinds of apples are best for making a pie and why? So, before making any decision, we have to just evaluate that in our day-to-day life also, whether in the previous session as the man was taking the session that decision making. So decision making is also here before evaluating that which sort of decisions will help us to come to the certain point and whatever we are expecting. So that's why evaluation, which kinds of apple, the example is which kinds of apples are best for making a pie and why. If we are taking any decision, then we must think, we must evaluate that why we are taking this great decision and what will be the consequences of that very decision. Now the sixth one is the creation. The sixth level of the first domain is the creation. Creating new results by planning, designing, developing the actual application. Synthesis involves building a structure or pattern from diverse elements. Creation is also known as a synthesis. So synthesis involves building a structure or pattern from diverse elements. It also refers to the act of putting parts together to form a whole. Now the characteristics of our creation, or you can also say as synthesis. Number one is production of a unique communication, production of a plan or proposed set of operations, derivation of a set of abstract relations. For example, convert an unhealthy recipe for apple pie to a healthy recipe by replacing your choice of ingredients. It means that when we talk about the learners, so whatever the knowledge we are having, so we can make changes as per our need. It is not compulsory that all. If there is a need to change, if there is a need to apply your own logic, then you can implement that very logic to achieve a target. So that is the example given over here, that convert an unhealthy recipe for apple pie to a healthy recipe by replacing your choice of ingredients. Argue for the health benefits of using the ingredients you choose versus the original ones. It means if there is a favorable things for you, then you can keep changes, you can change as per your need, as per your own taste or whatever you can say. Now, the next thing is, we were discussing about the next domain is affective domain. Earlier we were discussing about the three domains of the Bloom's taxonomy. The first one we had already discussed. The second is the affective domain. So affective domain, let's see, that is emotion based. Emotion based, it means this domain of Bloom's taxonomy deals with the feelings and the emotions associated with the passage. It contains complex ideas and concise phenomena and characters. The main aspects of the affective domain are as follows. Number one, that is reception. Second is response, values, organization, and characterization.
Sir, please, sir, explain it in Hindi.
Sorry, sir.
Hindi.
Okay. So affective domain is when you are having the emotion based. So whenever you are having the emotions of something, so when we being as a teacher, when we connect with the students, so we must have an emotion with the students that if they are having such type of difficulties or if they are having any type of queries, then we must give them answers emotionally. It means the emotional attachment should be there with the students, so that's why they will connect with the teachers, that the teacher is getting something, that the teacher is also giving priority to the students. So that's why it is said that there is an affective domain, that is the emotional base. It means there should be a connection, emotionally connection between the students and the teachers. That is our second domain, affective domain. And it is characterized as reception, response, values, organization, and characterization. The next thing here the affective domain. Skills is the affective domain. Describe the way people react emotionally, their ability to feel other living things, pain or joy. Affective objectives typically target the awareness and growth in attitudes, emotions, and feelings. There are 5 levels in the affective domain, moving through the lowest order processes to highest. That is, first is receiving, second is responding, the third one is valuing, fourth organizing, and the fifth one is characterizing. We will be discussing all this in detail. The first one is receiving. The lowest level, the student passively pays attention. Without this level, no learning can occur. Receiving is about the student's memory and memorization as well. It means whatever the teacher is teaching, whether the students are getting it or not, it means whether they are receiving or not, that is most important. The second one is responding. The second one is responding. So the student actively participates in the learning processes. Not only attends to a stimulus, the student also reacts in some way. It means whenever we used to, we as a teacher, whenever we used to ask our questions from the students used to respond. Not all the students used to respond in the class, but those students, those who are the very first category we were discussing, that those who were receiving the content when the teacher is teaching in the classroom and the students are paying attention, it means the students is receiving that very content, that very topic of the teacher. So when the teacher used to ask questions, the students will respond. Only those students will respond, those who are paying attention what the teacher is teaching. So the second thing is the responding. The student actively participates in the learning process. Not only attends to stimulus, the students also react in some way. Number third one is value. The third level is value. The student attaches a value to an object, phenomenon, or piece of information. It means when a teacher used to deliver something or when a teacher is teaching, it happens that the students not only used to pay attention on entire topic, but whatever the topic, whatever the information, the student think that this very information or this very topic is going to be very helpful. Some students used to pay special attention on that very topic only. So the student attaches a value of an object, phenomenon, or piece of information. The student associates a value or some values to the knowledge they acquire. So that is the value. Number 4 is organizing. The student can put together different values, informations, and ideas and can accommodate them within their own schema. The student is comparing, relating, and elaborating on what has been learned. It means when the students used to learn something, they used to compare, elaborate, and whatever the knowledge they are acquiring, they used to compare it with their prior knowledge, their previous knowledge. Next one is characterizing. This is the fifth stage, characterizing. The student at this level tries to build abstract knowledge. It means whenever the students used to have the knowledge, they used to create this abstract knowledge that whatever they have learned, what are its benefits for their future or for their life. So these were the second domain of the Bloom's taxonomy. The third one is the psychometer domain, that is action based. The psychometer domain is action based. It means that is by actively participating in an activity, actively participation in any act. Psychometer domain. The psychometer domains includes physical movement, coordination, and use of the motor skill areas. Development of these skills requires practices and is measured in terms of speed, precision, distance, procedures, or techniques in execution. It means the students used to implement the students used to develop the skills, whatever the knowledge they are acquiring, they used to implement in their day-to-day life, and in how quickly they used to respond, that depends upon the psychomotor domain. These seven major categories are listed from the simplest behavior to the most complex of this domain. That is the psychomotor domain. It is further classified into seven most behavior. The Bloom and his colleagues never created subcategories for skills in the psychomotor domain, but since then other educators have created their own psychomotor taxonomies. Simpson proposed the following levels. The number one is perception. Second one is set. Third one is guided response. Fourth one is mechanism. Fifth is complex overt response. Sixth is adaptation, and the seventh one is origination. These are the seven categories, but this is not done by the Benjamin Bloom. It is done by other philosophers or educators. So here we are having the right now perception, set, guided response, mechanism, complex overt response, adaptation, and origination. The very first category is perception. What is perception? The ability to use sensory cues to guide motor activity. This ranges from sensory stimulation through cue selection to translation. For example, detects non-verbal communication cues. Estimate where a ball will land after it is thrown, and then moving to the correct location to catch the ball. Suppose a ball is thrown up, so we cannot guess that where the ball will land. So, but as per the assumptions, we used to go there to catch the ball. So that is the first perception. That is, estimate a ball will land after it is thrown, and then moving to the correct location to catch the ball. Another one is the adjust heat of stove to correct temperature by smell and taste of food. Whenever we used to cook food, so we used to load or hide the flame of the stove. So sometimes with the smells of the cook, whatever we are cooking, we used to just adjust the flame of the stove. Second thing is the adjust the height of the forks on a fork name by comparing where the forks are in relation to the pan. So in this perception, we are having the keywords that what the students will think, what the students will acquire. There are certain keywords. Like number one, chooses, that in the very first example we have seen that when a ball is thrown up, the student or whatever, whoever is there, he will choose that where he or she has to stand so that he or she will catch that very ball. Describes, detects, differentiates. These are the keywords that comes in our mind when we talk about the perception. Differentiates, distinguishes, identifies, isolates, relates, and selects. So these are the keywords that comes in our mind when we talk about the perception. And this is the first category of our psychomotor domain. Now the next one is set. Earlier we had discussed that there are the seven categories. The seven categories of the domain. The second one is set. So ready. What is set means readiness to act. It includes mental, physical, and emotional states. These three states are dispositions that determine a person's response to different situations. Sometimes we also call it as a mindset. It means that in a particular situation, how we are reacting. That in a adverse condition, not in a favorable condition, how a person reacts. That is also known as the mindset. So that is a set, or you can also say as a mindset. So now the examples of the mindset, or you can also see it as a set, is knows and acts upon a sequence of steps in manufacturing process. if we are having a business concern, so whatever the business we are carrying out, suppose I'm taking an example of the manufacturing hub that we are having a business of manufacturing hub. So we are having the process, we are having the states, we are having the mindset that how the activity will carry out, how the manufacturing activities will be performed, what will be the requirements of the factors of productions. All these things we will be having a in our mindset before setting up any business or before carrying out a production processes. So more than acts upon a sequence of steps in a manufacturing process, recognize one's abilities and limitations. Of course, yesterday when Principal Ma'am was taking the session, she mentioned that everyone is having their three phases. That one phase which we are having being as a professional, one phase when we are having a personal relationship with our families, and the third phase that we are having the God knows, the third phase. So each and everyone knows their abilities. It means each and everyone knows their strength and their weaknesses. So in that case scenario, we are having the mindset. Suppose being as a teacher of accounts, I know that I am having a strength in the accountancy. I am having some difficulties in teaching English or in Hindi. So everyone is having a pre-mindset that what are their strengths and what are their weaknesses. So as per their strength means as per the strength of an individual is having their mindset that suppose if someone is asking me to teach Hindi in senior secondary level, it's obvious that I will hesitate because I don't have that very confidence in teaching Hindi, especially in the senior secondary level. So every person is having their strength as well as the weaknesses. That is, we have recognized one's abilities and limitations. It means we have to recognize, we have to think that what are our strengths and what are our weaknesses. So desires to learn a new process. That is the motivation. It means a few days back when we were having a session started of the new in-house training, 21st century skills or the innovative ideas were taught. So especially we teachers in the middle of the pandemic, we are adopting all these things. We are motivating ourselves that we can do. Many of us were not familiar with the technology, that how to handle the cell phone, that how to take the online classes. But it all motivated us. Being as a teacher, it motivated us that yes, we can do. So that's why as we must show desires to learn a new process. It means we must adopt, we must be very versatile, we must keep ourselves updated as per the need of the hour. So this subdivision of psychometer is closely related with the responding to phenomena subdivisions of the affective domain. In the affective domain, we had already discussed, this is a very closely related with that very affective domain. Now the keywords that we will be dealing with in this very set is beliefs, displays, explains. I have just pointed out a few. Begins, displays, explains, moves, proceeds, reacts, shows, states, and volunteers. So these are the things that we must adopt being as a teacher. That we have to take the initiative. Suppose when it comes about the in-house training, so many of us just started as taking the initiative because then no, I will take the session. So we must believe that yes, we can do something. We must display and explain whatever the term we are having, moves, proceeds, and the reacts also. It happens that if someone is saying something that is not favorable for us, then we generally react in a very adverse or in a very bad way. So that is the common thing that we react in every situation. If a situation is as per our mindset, then we react very positively. But when the situation goes adverse, we react very negatively or in a very bad manner. So that is the reaction. And it shows states and volunteers. The volunteer is also very important. Whenever there is a need, we must come forward to volunteers one and another so that we can help one another. The next is guided response. After step, we are having the next is guided response. The early stages in learning a complex skill that includes imitation and trial and error. Trial and error method. Adequacy of performance is achieved by practicing. For example, performs a mathematical equation as demonstrated, follows instructions to build a model, responds hand signals of instructor while learning to operate a forklift. It means guided response. We have to follow the guidelines. Suppose we as a student of maths, whatever the guidelines are being given to the students by their mathematics teacher, the students should follow that very guideline. It means what are the rules, what are the theories, how to solve the questions. So the students have to follow that very guidelines. So being as a student and in maths also we used to have trial and error method. That if suppose you are having one method of solving a problem, then you must go for another method also if you know that yes I can solve that very question in that very end. So we don't have to fix or visit on a particular rule or a set of guidelines. Apart from that, we must have follow the certain rules that we think being as a student that we can also help to solve a problem. Second thing is follow instructions to build a model. In our school, we generally used to give a model to the students to prepare a model. So whatever the instructions is being given to the students by their teachers, the students should follow that very guidelines that how to prepare a model. Third one is respond hand signals of the instructor while learning to operate a forklift. That if suppose not only from the academic point of view, whatever the instructions is being given by the gesture, that should also be followed. Whenever we used to travel by the flight, before boarding or before the flight take off, one person is there, or you can see as a flight attendant, he or she used to guide us that in an emergency how we have to use the belt. So if we are unable to acquire, if we are unable to understand the language of that very attendant, then by the gesture also we can follow that yes, in an emergency situation, we can use the belt, we can have the parachute or whatever the instructions is being given. So not only in the written or in a verbal manner, apart from these two, it's a gesture also that we should follow, that is also acting as a guide for us. So that is the signals of the instructor. Whenever we as our PT teachers, our PT teachers also used to guide the students in a signal. Suppose in the session of match or something going on, the instructor or coach used to give signals to their players that how you have to react in that very situation or whatever. So these are also a guide for us and we have to follow these things. Now the keywords that comes in our mind when we talk about the guided response is copies. It is we have to copy. We have to copy the instructions. We have to copy the guidelines of our instructor, of our coach, of our teacher. So we have to copy this. Traces, follows, react, reproduce, and response. So when the instructor or our coach gives us instructions, we have to follow. We have to act on that. We have to react also. Suppose if an instructor or a coach is giving some instruction, and if the player is not responding, the player should respond or react that no, I am unable to know. So copies, traces, follows, react, reproduce, and response also. Whatever the instructions you are having, you can also reproduce it. It means you can also imitate that very actions to make your work easy, and you have to respond in that very manner also. The next one is mechanism. After the guided response, the next one is mechanism. This is the intermediate stage in learning a complex skill. Learned responses have become habitual, and the movements can be performed with some confidence and proficiency. Examples: use a personal computer. If you are having a little bit sorts of knowledge of the computer, you can easily access your personal computer. For this, you have your own PC, that is personal computer. So if you don't have the sufficient knowledge of PC, but when you are having that many PC, so by using again and again, one can be familiar with the use of computer. At least one will know that how to open, how to shut down their PC. It means that is our day-to-day life mechanism, so that we also get from there. Second one is repairing or leaking. In our day-to-day life, whenever there is such type of situation occurs in our home, we used to fix the things. Suppose we are at home and all of a sudden there is a electric shock. So instantly each and everyone becomes an electrician itself, that one can use that how to fix this very thing. Before calling or before rushing to the electrician, one uses to try to fix the thing. That is the mechanism. Another one is an example of drive a car. Suppose if you are having a car and again you are trying to drive, then at some point of time or after a certain period of time, it will happen that you can be able to drive a car. So there is no need of special guidelines. There is no need of following the guidelines that how to drive a car. But if you will try again and again, if you will follow the or imitate the others, probably you will be able to drive a car. Now the keywords that are here, that is examples. Suppose in our house there is any type of breakage of any type of nuts and bolts, then we use to assemble itself. Computer, as I am taking the example of the using of the personal computer, whenever there is any type of error in computer, we generally use to just open the CPU and just read the RAM and just fix it. It happens sometimes that it start working. It happens. So that is the examples. Second thing is calibrates, constructs, dismantles, display, fastens, fixes, grinds, heats, manipulates. That is the main thing that we always use to manipulate the things. Whatever we are thinking, whatever we are saying, that if there is any type of discrepancy, then we use to manipulate the thing as per our convenience, as per our need. That measures, mends, mixes, organizes, and sketches. All these are the keywords. When we talk about the mechanism, we find that these are the keywords that help us to do the mechanism. The next one is complex overt responses. The skillful performance of motor acts, that is, we are talking about the psychomotor domain. The skillful performance of motor acts that involve complex movement patterns. Proficiency is indicated by a quick, accurate, and highly coordinated performance requiring a minimum of energy. This category includes performing without hesitation and automatic performance. For example, players are often utter sounds of satisfaction or expletives as soon as they hit a tennis ball.
पॉज कर दीजिए.
That for example, players are often utter sounds of satisfaction or ecstatic as soon as they hit a tennis ball or throw a football because they can tell by the feel of the act what the results will produce. It means, because I have taken the example of a player that we used to hear the sounds of a player that, for an example, I am taking an example of a cricket match. Whenever a batsman used to hit a ball, then he is having the confidence. He knows that whether the ball will reach to the boundary line or whether the ball has lifted in the air or he will be out caught by another player. So that is the complex overt response. It means whenever we do or react an act, we are having we know the responses. Because the student also, when the students used to give the examination, and when they used to came out of the examination hall, they used to interact with their mates, his classmates, that I will achieve such marks, I will achieve such marks in that subject or overall, whatever. Because they know that how their examinations were, how many questions he or she had attempted, whether he or she had attempted the right one or the wrong one. So that is the complex overt reactions. For example, maneuvers a car into a tight parallel parking spot. In the previous topic, we were discussing about the mechanism. It is almost same like that of the mechanism, but there is a slight difference. It means in mechanism we are having a general concept that I told that if you will be having a car, then gradually a person will learn how to drive a car. But here I am saying that driving a car is just near driving a car is a simple thing, but how to park it in a complex place on a particular spot. So that is our complex overt responses. That I am talking about the complex overt response. And another example we have taken that a person can easily operate a computer, but those who are having a special knowledge or a degree of computer, he or she can operate computer very accurately or in a speedy way as compared to the others, those who don't have the knowledge that how to operate in a manner, in a proper manner. So we can say that the mechanism and the complex overt response almost both are the same, but there is a little difference between these two terms is that in complex overt responses, it is having a accuracy, having more knowledge. So the maneuvers a car into a tight parallel parking spot needs to be very proficient in driving a car, operates a computer quickly and accurately, needs more efficient, needs more knowledge of the computer as compared to the person who is having a mere knowledge of computer. Displays competence by playing the piano. Even we all are able to play a piano, but one who is having the knowledge of how to operate piano. When we compare, then we can see that those who are having a knowledge of the music or those who know how to play the piano will be much more different with the person who don't know how to play a piano and he just simply going through the keys. Now note the keywords are the same as I am discussing about the keywords. So the keywords are the same as of the mechanism, but we have adverbs or adjectives that indicate the performance is quicker, better, and more accurate. So this is the difference between the mechanism and the complex overt response. The next one is adaptation. Skills are well developed and the individual can modify movement patterns to fit special requirements. For example, responds effectively to unexpected experiences, modifies instruction to meet the needs of the learners, perform a task with the machine that it was not originally intended to do. That is, machine is not damaged and there is no danger in performing the new task. So the example says the adaptation. When we are having the in-house training, so we have to respond. When the CBSE has given the circular that the school has to conduct the in-house training, we have to respond that yes, we are able to conduct the in-house training. So that is what adaptation means. That as per the need, as per the demand, we adapt. That is the adaptation. And it also modifies instructions to meet the needs of the learners. This is the need of the hour that each, as per the guideline of the National Education Policy, that each and every teacher should have a training of 50 hours in a year. So as per that very guidelines, we are here that we are attending the webinars of the COH, and now in-house training we all are sitting together to attend the workshop. Perform a task with the machine that it was not originally intended to do. Suppose, as I was taking the example of car, that to drive a car. So it is not just having that yes, I am sitting on the driver's seat and I am just rushing and damaging the car. That is not the adaptation. Adaptation means that yes, I am following the guidelines and I am learning something. That is the adaptation. So the keywords here is adapts, alters. It means that we can keep changes, we can edit there something, changes, rearranges, reorganize, revises, and varies as per our need. The next one is origination. Creating a new movement patterns to fit a particular situation or a specific problem. Learning outcomes emphasizes creativity based upon highly developed skills. For example, constructs a new theory, develops a new and comprehensive training program, creates a new gymnastic routine. These are the origination. It is something new we have to do. That is the origination. Keywords are arrange, builds, combines, composes, constructs, creates, designs, initiates, makes, and originates. All this seems to be the synonyms of the origination. Now, the implications that where the Bloom's taxonomy can be implemented. Bloom's taxonomy serves as the backbone of many teaching philosophies, in particular those that learn more towards skill rather than content. These educators view content as a vessel for teaching skills. The emphasis on higher order thinking inherent in such philosophies is based on the top levels of the taxonomy, including application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation that we have discussed in the first domain. Bloom's taxonomy can be used as a teaching tool to help balance evaluative and assessment based questions in assignments, texts, and in class engagements to ensure that all orders of thinking are exercised in students' learning, including aspects of information and search. Now, the connections across the disciplines. The Bloom's taxonomies, how they are connected with the other disciplines. Bloom's taxonomy and the revised taxonomy continue to be a source of inspiration for educational philosophy and for developing new teaching strategies. This skill development that takes place at higher orders of thinking interacts well with the developing global focus on multiple literacies and modalities in the ability to interface with and create media would draw upon skills from both higher order thinking skills, that is analysis, creation and evaluation, and lower level thinking skills, that is knowledge, comprehension and application. So these are the areas where we can connect the Bloom's taxonomy with the other disciplines. At last, I would like to say that a well-known proverb that give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. So thank you for listening very carefully. I hope you all enjoyed this session. So thank you for listening carefully. Thank you very much.